The Galactic Academy was not a normal school. It was a place where young beings from many different worlds came to learn, to train, and to prepare for the dangerous universe outside. In this academy, every species believed they were strong, unique, and chosen. But today was different. Today, there was a human in the class. His name was Ethan. To most aliens, he looked weak. He had no claws, no scales, no armor on his skin. His muscles were not big, his eyes not glowing, and he carried no natural weapon. Among giant insectoids, reptilian warriors, and psychic energy bearers, Ethan looked ordinary. Too ordinary. The students whispered when he walked into the training hall. "Why is a softskin here?" hissed a scaled alien. "He will not last 5 minutes," muttered another with sharp teeth. "They say humans come from a small world, barely advanced. Why is he even allowed?" Ethan ignored the voices. His face stayed calm, but his eyes moved. He watched the walls, the ceiling, the strange glowing panels of the hall. He listened to the heavy doors closing behind them. He noticed details others ignored. Then the instructor entered. It was not like them. It was tall, robed, its face hidden behind a smooth mask. Its voice was deep, echoing through the chamber. "Students, today you face a test. It will decide if you have the will to survive, or the weakness to fall." A heavy silence filled the room. The instructor raised one hand. The walls shifted, opening into a massive dome. It was like an arena, with rocky terrain, shadows, and strange alien plants. The students were pushed forward into the dome. The gates slammed shut behind them. One alien raised a claw. "Instructor, what is the challenge today?" The mask tilted slightly. Then came the answer. "A predator." Gasps spread through the group. Even the strongest-looking alien twitched nervously. Predators in this academy were not simulations. They were real. Real teeth. Real hunger. From the far end of the dome, another gate opened. The sound that came out made every alien freeze. It was low at first, like thunder in a cave, then rose into a growl that shook their bones. The predator stepped out. It was massive. Taller than the tallest alien, with a body covered in thick, armored hide. Its claws were curved like swords, its eyes glowed red, and its breath steamed in the cold air. Every step it took shook the ground. The students felt fear. Some trembled. Others tried to stand tall, hiding their fear behind pride. The predator lifted its head, sniffed the air, and then roared, a roar so loud it made the rocks around them tremble. The instructor's voice followed, calm and sharp. "Survive." And with that, the predator was released. The aliens burst into motion. One shot fire from his hands, another created a psychic shield, another extended venomous claws. Their powers filled the air with light, sound, and fury. But Ethan did not move. He stood at the back, his eyes fixed on the predator. He did not shout, he did not run. He simply watched. The predator ignored the weaker students, at first. It smashed through the psychic shield like glass. It burned through the flames as if they were sparks. It swung one massive claw, and a scaled warrior was thrown across the dome, screaming. Chaos filled the arena. Students ran in every direction. Some tried to fight, others tried to hide. None of them had a plan. None of them worked together. Ethan's eyes followed the predator's movements. He noticed how it turned, how it blinked, how it breathed. He saw that its left leg dragged slightly, as if scarred from an older battle. He saw that it paused after each roar, just for a second, to draw in air. While others panicked, Ethan learned. "Why is he not fighting?" An alien shouted, hiding behind a rock. "Is he frozen? Is he too afraid?" Another cried. But Ethan was not frozen. He was calculating. The predator smashed into a group of insectoid students. Their shells cracked, their screams filled the dome. The monster roared again, blood dripping from its claws. It was unstoppable. And yet, Ethan's face stayed calm. He bent down, picked up a small stone from the ground, and rolled it in his hand. He looked at the walls, at the sharp plants, at the broken weapons left by past students. His mind connected pieces together, step by step. The predator's eyes suddenly turned to him. The only student who did not scream, did not attack, did not run. The beast growled, then charged. Aliens gasped. This is the end of the human. He will be crushed. Finally, we see how weak they are. But Ethan did not run. He dropped the stone, stood straight, and waited. The predator thundered closer, claws raised, its massive jaws opening wide. At that moment, the entire dome seemed to hold its breath. The aliens watched, frozen between fear and disbelief. And Ethan smiled. The ground shook as the predator charged at Ethan. Dust rose, claws cut the air, and the roar of the beast drowned every other sound. For the aliens watching, it was clear, this was the end of the human. But Ethan did not move. At the very last second, when the predator's claws were about to strike, Ethan rolled sideways. Quick, smooth, without panic. The claws smashed into the ground where he had been standing. Rocks shattered. The floor cracked. The aliens gasped. He moved. No, he planned that. How could he time it so close? The predator roared in frustration, pulling its claws free from the stone. It turned its glowing eyes back to the human. Meanwhile, the other students were still trying to fight. A reptilian warrior charged forward with a spear, stabbing the beast's side. The spear snapped in half. With one swipe of its arm, the predator sent the reptilian flying into the wall. The alien lay groaning, armor cracked. Another student, a small psychic alien with glowing eyes, tried to strike the monster's mind. For a moment, the predator froze. But then its eyes burned brighter, and with a scream, the psychic fell to the floor, blood dripping from his nose. The others hesitated. Fear grew. This was not a test they could pass with power. Their attacks did nothing. Their weapons broke. Their courage was slipping away. But Ethan did not look afraid. He circled slowly, keeping his eyes locked on the predator. His movements were calm, but his mind was racing. Every detail mattered. He saw how the predator favored its right arm when striking. He noticed how its tail whipped whenever it turned quickly. He counted the seconds between its heavy breaths. One alien shouted at him, "Human, fight. Use your strength." Ethan only gave a short answer. "I don't need strength. I need timing." The predator charged again. This time, Ethan grabbed a broken shard of metal from the ground. He held it low, not as a weapon, but as a tool. When the predator lunged, jaws wide, Ethan ducked and scraped the shard across the beast's eye. The predator screamed in rage, clawing at its own face. Blood poured from the wound. The aliens stared in silence. He had hurt it. A human. With nothing but a piece of broken scrap. The insectoid warrior shouted in disbelief. "That is impossible. Our strongest blows could not harm it." But Ethan knew the truth. It was not about strength. It was about finding the weak spot. The predator turned back, blood dripping, its roar now filled with anger and hunger. It was not just hunting anymore. It wanted revenge. It rushed again. Ethan ran, not in fear, but with purpose. He led the monster toward a cluster of sharp, crystal-like plants that grew from the ground. Their edges were razor-sharp, glowing faintly with energy. The predator followed, blinded by rage. At the last moment, Ethan slid under one of the crystals, rolling clear. The predator, too heavy to stop, crashed through them. The crystals shattered, stabbing into its hide. It roared in pain, blood spraying. The aliens could not believe it. He tricked it. He made the beast hurt itself. No, he is fighting smarter, not harder. Ethan stood, breathing heavy but steady. His eyes stayed locked on the predator. His body looked small, fragile compared to the monster. But his presence was different now. The aliens began to see something strange. He was not prey. He was the hunter. The predator staggered, pulling shards from its flesh. Its glowing eyes burned hotter with rage. With another roar, it leapt high into the air, landing with such force the ground cracked again. Ethan stumbled, but kept his balance. He picked up sand in his hand. Just sand. Then, as the predator lunged again, Ethan threw it into the beast's face. The fine dust filled its wounded eye and nostrils. The predator roared in fury, shaking its head wildly, blinded. The aliens were stunned. With just dust. He is making a mockery of the predator. No, he is making us look weak. For a moment, the dome was filled only with the predator's screams and Ethan's steady breathing. The human moved carefully, like a soldier on a battlefield. Every step had meaning. Every choice had reason. The instructor, watching from above, spoke in a quiet tone, only some could hear. This is the human way. Not power. Not gifts. Survival. The predator slammed its claws down blindly, missing Ethan again and again. The arena shook. Stones cracked. Aliens crouched low, terrified to move. But Ethan did not cower. He waited. He waited until the beast exposed its chest, turning slightly as it struck the ground again. Then, with all his focus, Ethan drove the shard of metal deep into a soft gap between its armored plates. The predator roared, stumbling back, blood gushing from the wound. Ethan pulled the shard free, eyes sharp, body steady. He was not smiling now. He was not calm. He was something else. Focused, dangerous. The aliens could not speak. They only stared. The human had hurt the beast twice. Something no one else had managed. And now, for the first time, the predator hesitated. It growled low, circling Ethan, as if trying to understand him. The dome was silent. The fight was not over. But the truth was already clear. The human was not prey. The human was a threat. The predator circled Ethan now. Its breath came out in heavy bursts, each exhale carrying heat and fury. The deep wound in its chest oozed dark blood, and one eye was blinded, but its hunger had not faded. If anything, it had grown stronger. The other students watched from behind rocks and broken walls. Their bodies trembled, their pride shattered. They had come into this test believing they were the strongest of the galaxy's young warriors. Yet their powers had failed, their courage had cracked. Only one stood unbroken, Ethan, the fragile human. And he was not finished. The predator lunged again, claws wide. Ethan ducked, sliding across the dirt. His fingers closed around another shard of metal. He moved with purpose, not wasting a second. The predator's claws smashed down where he had been, sparks flying as stones split open. The insectoid warrior whispered in awe. He moves like he knew it was coming before it came. Ethan's heart pounded, but his mind was cold. He remembered his father's words from long ago on Earth. A predator is only as strong as the prey it does not understand. Make it confused. Make it doubt. So Ethan did exactly that. He darted left, then right, throwing small stones at the beast's face. The rocks did not hurt it, but they distracted it. The blinded eye twitched. The beast roared, snapping its head toward each sound. Ethan moved faster, using the terrain as his weapon. He vanished into shadows, reappeared behind broken pillars, and always stayed just out of reach. The predator grew angry. Too angry. Its movements turned wild, less controlled. It struck walls, shattered crystals, and wasted energy. Ethan's lips pressed into a thin line. He could feel it. The tide was shifting. Finally, the predator charged straight at him, reckless and furious. Ethan ran, leading it across the dome. His eyes had already chosen the path. He darted toward a cracked section of the floor, where heat from the dome's energy systems pulsed upward. At the last second, Ethan dove aside. The predator's massive body crashed into the weakened ground. The floor gave way. For a moment, the beast sank into the pit, its claws scrabbling to climb out. The aliens gasped. He tricked it again. How does he keep finding ways? Ethan did not hesitate. He grabbed a long, broken spear shaft from the ground, ran forward, and rammed it into the predator's wounded chest. The beast roared in agony, its tail whipping violently. Ethan barely rolled away in time. The predator climbed out of the pit, slower now, bleeding from multiple wounds. Its roars were no longer filled with power but with desperation. The reptilian warrior whispered in disbelief. The human, he is not stronger. But he is breaking the beast piece by piece. Ethan's body ached, his arms trembled, but his eyes burned with focus. He was not fighting to prove himself. He was fighting because survival was the only option. The predator tried again, swinging its tail. Ethan ducked and grabbed a sharp crystal from the shattered plants. He stabbed upward, driving the crystal into the soft flesh beneath the beast's jaw. Blood poured. The predator screamed, stumbling backward. The dome was silent. No alien dared move. They watched with wide eyes, their breath caught in their throats. The human was winning. The predator thrashed wildly, smashing pillars, its strength fading but its rage unbroken. Ethan kept his distance, circling, waiting for another mistake. He could feel his heartbeat in his ears, every second heavy, but he refused to let fear control him. Finally, the beast staggered, its legs shaking. Its red eyes burned with hatred as it fixed on Ethan. With one last roar, it charged. Ethan did not run. He sprinted forward, straight toward it. The aliens gasped in horror. He's insane. He will be crushed. But Ethan had chosen his moment. At the last instant, he slid under the predator's belly. In one swift motion, he rammed the crystal shard deep into its exposed flesh. He dragged it along the length of the beast as he slid out the other side. The predator shrieked, a terrible sound that shook the dome. Its body convulsed, blood pouring from the massive wound. It staggered, turned once, then collapsed with a thunderous crash. Dust filled the air. The ground shook. Silence followed. Ethan stood slowly, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. His clothes were torn, his arms covered in dirt and blood. But his eyes were steady, sharp, unshaken. The aliens stared in disbelief. That was impossible. No species has ever brought down a predator alone. He fought with nothing. No claws. No fire. No psychic gift. And yet, the insectoid warrior lowered his head, voice quiet. The human made us all look like children. Ethan did not speak. He simply looked at the fallen predator, then at the terrified, silent faces of his classmates. He knew what they were thinking. They had seen strength. They had seen fury. But what they saw in him was something else. Something colder. Something far more dangerous. The instructor's voice finally echoed across the dome. Remember this moment, students. You believed the human weak. You saw his soft skin, his small frame, his lack of natural gifts. Yet he has shown you the truth. The mask turned, its voice carrying power and weight. Humans do not win because they are the strongest. They win because they refuse to lose. The words sank into the students' hearts. For the first time, they did not see Ethan as prey. They saw him as a rival, a warning. And in that silence, the thought spread among them like fire. If one human could do this alone, what could an army of humans do? The dome was silent. The predator's massive body lay motionless on the cracked ground, its blood spreading like dark rivers across the stone. Dust hung in the air. Every alien student stood frozen, their eyes wide, their voices gone. And in the center of it all stood Ethan, the human. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. His clothes were torn, his arms bruised, his hands shaking slightly from exhaustion. But his eyes were steady, calm, unbroken. For a long moment, no one spoke. It was as if the entire dome had stopped breathing. The insectoid warrior was the first to break the silence. His voice was low, almost trembling. He killed it. Alone. Another student whispered, her scales trembling. With no powers, no gifts, only with broken pieces of metal and stone. The psychic alien, still weak from his failed attempt, lifted his head and muttered. He fought like he was born for this. Like his mind is sharper than any blade. The students looked at one another. Their pride had cracked, their arrogance shattered. For years, they had believed humans were weak. A primitive species. But now, staring at Ethan, they realized something terrifying. They had been wrong. The heavy doors of the dome opened. The instructor stepped inside. Its tall robed figure moved with slow, measured steps. The smooth mask turned to the fallen predator, then to the silent class, and finally to Ethan. Its voice echoed, deep and calm. Do you understand now? The students shifted uneasily. None answered. The instructor continued. You believed survival came from strength. From natural gifts. From power you were born with. But survival does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the one who refuses to fall. Its masked face tilted toward Ethan. This human. He is smaller, weaker, softer than you. And yet, he is the only one who stood when the rest of you trembled. Shame spread across the group. Some lowered their heads. Others clenched their fists. None could deny the truth. The instructor raised its hand, pointing at Ethan. Remember this moment. Etch it into your minds. Because what you saw today was not only one human. It was a glimpse of what all humans are. A cold silence followed those words. The reptilian warrior finally spoke, his voice quiet but heavy. If one human can kill a predator alone, what will happen if an army of humans comes? The thought struck every student like a blade. Their scales prickled, their shells shook, their minds filled with unease. An insectoid hissed nervously. An army of humans would be unstoppable. Another whispered. They would not conquer with power. They would conquer with cunning. With patience. With that refusal to fall. Ethan said nothing. He did not boast. He did not celebrate. He only looked at the predator's corpse and then at the frightened faces of his classmates. Inside, he felt no pride. Only clarity. He had survived because he had no other choice. That was what humans did. They survived. The instructor turned back toward the students. You will carry this lesson with you. The galaxy is vast, filled with predators greater than this one. But remember, when humans walk among you, do not mistake their silence for weakness. Do not mistake their softness for fragility. A human's true weapon is not claw or fire. The mask lowered slightly. It is the human will. And that, students, is more dangerous than any predator. The words echoed, and the students felt a cold weight settle in their chests. The dome's doors opened wider. Guards came in, pulling the predator's massive body away. The blood left dark stains on the ground, a reminder of what had just happened. The students began to leave slowly, still shaken. Some glanced at Ethan with fear, others with respect, but none with the old arrogance they once had. As they filed out, whispers filled the hall. He looked so fragile. Yet he was more dangerous than all of us. Maybe humans are not prey at all. No. They are hunters hiding in plain sight. Ethan walked behind them quietly. He did not need to speak. His actions had spoken louder than any words could. But deep inside, he knew what this test meant. It was not only a lesson for the aliens. It was a message to the galaxy. A warning. Humans might look weak. They might seem ordinary. But when pushed into the fire, when faced with death, they became something terrifying. Something unstoppable. The instructor watched him leave, its masked face unreadable. But in its mind, one thought repeated again and again. If the galaxy truly knew what humans were capable of, would they fear them? Or would they try to destroy them before it was too late? The answer was unclear. But one thing was certain. After this day, Not a single student in that dome would ever forget the sight of the humans standing over the fallen predator. And in the silence of their fear, they all knew one truth. The predator had not been the most dangerous creature in the dome. The human was.